I would like to talk about, what is the responsibility? I mean, we talked about third degrees, and this question has come up over and over again, privately and sometimes publicly in some of the soirees that we went to, about the role of the third degree in the craft. And people have this idea that the third degree is only a teacher or a coven leader.
Mhm.
Do you agree with this?
It's a great question, and that's actually a pretty good segue in from is the role of the third degree to keep that vibration high, to teach that, or if we want to talk about teaching and stressing that contact right with divinity. Is it just about teaching? No. I think that's a major part of it, because at the same, when we get second and third together, right, traditionally in the Alexandrian tradition, and it's that moment of independence, in the sense that you are fully vetted and you can go off and start your own coven and have your own initiates, where you will be responsible for teaching and training, as you were taught, right, and trained your first degrees. Is that your only role in the craft? No, I think there's a lot of other work that third degrees can and perhaps should do. Hermetic works. When we got that question about, right, from that couple from Denmark, where what are you doing for the environment around you? Are you, as a third degree, more responsible for that? And what's happening? And are you also responsible for the natural evolution of the craft?
I think we are responsible to guide as third degrees. If you have a coven with people that needs guidance, that need guidance inside of your group, to really help the initiates to develop their own tools so that they can then stand by themselves and resolve whatever they have to, and to be able to do the work. Hopefully you will identify potential on these students, and then with your guidance their potential will be developed. Depends on, of course, them, and as well as a good teacher. But I think that we are responsible only for ourselves. And this is another thing that I want to talk about, which is people think, first degree sometimes have this idea, which is, I'm here, so just lecture me or tell me what to do. And this is, sometimes this is reversed as well. Some third degrees think that they should lecture. And just that.
Well, no, some third degrees absolutely think that they're the main event.
Yes,
in their circles, and don't let their first degrees actually be priests and priestesses.
Yeah, that's right. And this is very
red flag, everybody. That's a red flag. If that's how your coven is working, flag. The best.
If you have never done anything in your circle, then it's a red flag, because that means that it's always the high priestess and the high priest doing things. Then you're not learning anything.
Yeah,
because you're not doing.
Yeah,
and we have to learn.
Exactly. This is not about showing, right? This is about actually hands-on.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that we are responsible for that. We are responsible to guide, to teach, of course, and then we have other things that we do. Some of the people, and I'm going to talk about this because I think it's important. At the third degree, there is a passing of a very important thing to us as third degrees, and that's the secret name.
Yeah.
And that name is used. Now, this is the thing. Nobody knows how the name is used. And very few people know this.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange, because some are taught how to use it and some are not. They're just giving the name, and that's that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lack of training here, because most of the third degrees don't know what to do with that, how to use it, how to integrate this in their own work.
And
You know,
you raise a really great point in the sense of when you go through the second and third degree rituals, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you know everything, right? And that every secret has been revealed to you. So
right.
there is still a lot of, there's always work to be done. So second and third degree is not a done deal. And then for those who have not received that training that you speak of, Karagan, can or should a third degree seek training?
I would.
Me too.
I did. Yeah. So I think that, yes, absolutely. Yeah, you should, and so when a third degree asks you for training, and that's the thing, or further training, as it should be said, this is something that you're really not becoming their student, because there's third degrees, they're independent. So you become their mentor, maybe their guide. They will be guided by you, and you will choose as they trusted you to do the further training, because there are third degrees that do not have the training. I mean, we have to be blunt about this. There are third degrees do not have the training.
Yeah.
And or what they need, and they really need something, and they don't know what it is, but they feel that there's a lack, and that's what really is important, is that the person recognizes a lack of something, right? The person recognizes that there's a lack of knowledge, experience, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And there have been people coming and ask for further training, and this is not just. Here's the thing, the difference between this and let me just call you and tell you, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Even if you are a third degree to another third degree, you shouldn't be doing that. You should create an opportunity for that person to experience whatever it is that you're going to teach them, or to guide them, or to have a conversation. Even the conversation should be in person.
Yeah.
And an opportunity with incense going and perhaps a glass of wine. So it really is something that I think that there's a misperception of third degrees that, oh, we're pairs, now we can just exchange little figurines, right? So how do you do this? How do you do that? That degrades the level of training and passing of the knowledge. I think that degrades it. I have to say it, because I've never done that. I don't compare figurines with people. And when people begin to go into that particular level, I immediately retract, and I don't continue the conversation. And this happened to me many times. So, because there is this is something of the times of social media. People are in these groups and they ask the question, and they immediately want an answer, without any respect for the passing of the training, or the passing of the knowledge, or the passing of the teaching. So there is no effort whatsoever.
That is so good. That is so good. Where I know, like, imagine like sending someone a digital copy of the Book of Shadows, right, to your first degree initiate, which I'm sure happens out there.
Oh.
Rather than, being in the presence of the book, hand copying that book, with the incense, with the candle, with a glass of wine, and only being allowed to copy it for a certain amount of time. Like what that magical practice is, which gets totally lost, totally debased, right? Versus, oh, well, here it is, right? Copy it at your leisure, if you even do so.
Yeah, but this is the thing. This is with the third degree, and you're talking about the first degree, which is copying the Book of Shadows. But for instance, we have more than one book, and we have more than one thing to copy. So it's just not one book. So if, for instance, somebody else from that approaches you to really, I want to be guided here because I need this, and you agreed to do that, then everything needs to be done that way. You want to talk to, I have some questions. Of course, if it is questions about certain things and you live far away, you can always get, in a video conference call and talk a little bit with a glass of wine. But I think that, if it is things to show you, and I need to show you how to do it, you need to come.
Yeah.
You need to be here. You need to, and I've done, lots of incense going, and we'll do an empty chalice and we'll do whatever it's needed to be done. But the thing is that I think that people are forgetting about the beauty of the passing of the knowledge and how things should be done. And it's becoming very easy. It's become not easy, but it's just very, and in that, the great importance of the knowledge, you know what I mean? Or the importance of this particular piece. And I think that that's very sad. That's very sad that people do that. Yeah. Because they don't really have, listen, I've listened to things like, I went there for a weekend. I was raised all 3 degrees, and they told me the differences between Alexandrian and Gardnerian.
Yep. And that's it.
That's it.
And that's it.
There's no respect for, here's how.
That's it.
And then, of course, people don't really touch all of that because it's so quick and so superficial. There is no depth into these things. So there's the benefit of hearing what the teacher has to say, or the mentor, whatever it is, the person, the priest or the priestess, it will prevent you to get the depth of their own experience in what the teaching is. So it's just not, you get A and then you do B and then you C and then don't do D because that's another thing, and then E there.
Yeah.
You did with E. This is not how it's supposed to be, because then you will not have the benefit of the depth of the teaching.
Yeah.
Because this is linear. This is superficial. It really lacks the beauty of the passing of that knowledge to the other person and the benefit of that experience that the person that has done that before you is telling you how it's done.
It's like trying to work the Book of Shadows directly from the Book of Shadows and not having the oral, tradition, the oral knowledge.
That's right. Or the experience
of the experience, right? It would just be a disaster and ineffectual.
Exactly, because it will be superficial. Your magic will be superficial, as superficial is your training or your knowledge of it. And of course, there are other people who unfortunately are, going further on this, right, are very convinced that they know everything.
Yes. There's the other side, of the spectrum. There it is. Yeah.
Right. And they don't really need, anything. And they don't really, and they're great for them. But then there's a lot of people that will go away from them because they really are not letting them evolve, or the depth of their knowledge is not really very deep.
Yes.
And so, it's all about the cult of personality or something like that. That's the only thing that you can get your hands on, because there's nothing else, right? So this is the thing. You need a teacher, and if you are a 3rd degree, and if you need further training, that's perfectly fine to ask for the person that you think that should give you, that you admire, that you think that have the knowledge to give you further training. You can ask the Coven to give you further training, and then the teacher of the Coven, or whomever it is that is doing that, then it will accept you. I mean, it's really about, because we don't really want people to be ignorant and doing things that, if they have the will to know, why would we say, oh no, I'm sorry, But I do refuse to give things like this in social media, or groups in social media, or things like that. I don't.
Yeah.
We don't discuss things like this, but has been widely done. And this denigrates, it really puts the knowledge into a very low level of exchange, which is really unfortunate. It really is.
Yeah, and and I think technology has certainly exacerbated this problem because of the ease, right, of it. But as you point out, this is pre-technology, right? These things occurred with elevations that take place over a weekend.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Elevators.
Yeah,
I don't call them elevations, I call them elevators.
elevators.
But yeah, but it is very and listen, this is the thing, but then people say, well, but there are people, our elders were initiated 3 degrees in one night.
Yes.
Well, they forget that these people probably have been initiated into other mystery schools, and they have the preparation to have that done that way. That is not to be done to every single person just because somebody else did it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And something comes to mind, Maxine, for instance, which was, 3 degrees. But the thing is, we need to think that, Maxine was initiated into the Egyptian mysteries when she was
Absolutely.
a child. I
Yes.
mean, this is an exception. And of course, everybody, so because Maxine wasn't, why can't I do it? Well, maybe you're not ready.
No, truly. Yeah, because these individuals were already very much steeped in
Yeah,
these traditions and the occult, like
yeah,
a broad knowledge of the occult.
and exceptional people.
Exceptional people.
Exceptional people.
Yeah.
She was very young when
Yeah.
she was initiated, but Maxine was an exceptional person, and plus had that other thing. So when people say, well, let's just do this, yeah, well, maybe not, because that person might not be, and then it becomes such a superficial thing,
Yeah.
right? So it's just, again, putting it into a level that it shouldn't be.
Hmm.
The 3rd degree, I think, main work after, and this is the thing, people think about 3rd degrees and they put them into this category of teachers immediately or coven leaders. That's what, a 3rd degree does not have to be a coven leader.
No.
You know what I mean? So that we need to say this because people have the
3rd degrees do not have to leave their initial your home coven. Absolutely not.
They don't.
No.
So, and this is an idea, this is a Gardnerian idea, right? So that you will leave to form a new coven. You don't have to. Actually, there are covens, there are not covens, but groups that come together of 3rd degrees only, for instance, to work together. And I think that the main work of the 3rd degree continues to be the same as the 1st degree or the 2nd degree. In this case, for us, the 1st degree, which is the most amount of time that people are waiting to be, initiated into 2nd and 3rd. It's the same. It's the search of knowledge, the love for the craft, the development of their own potential, and but it becomes, I think, responsibility comes to mind in terms of what is then more. Well, there's more of a service.
Yeah.
And because of that, more responsibility. Now, the other thing is responsibility. I'm not talking about, you have more tasks. No. You're more, that there's greater responsibility on your work. And this is why you are called high.
Yes.
Priest or priestess. Because the expectation is that the level of your work should be high. Now, the other thing that I think that it's really important here to see is that the work of the 3rd degree, and these things vary from, this is my perception of it, is more universal. It's more cosmic.
Yes.
Rather than talking about tools and things, and develop your own abilities into the circle and how to do things, invocations and knowing the words and this and that. It is a different level of development, but it is more, I would call it more cosmic.
Mm-hmm. And working with the craft as an entity in and of itself, right? Like,
Right.
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 And what's interesting too is this is many moons ago before I met you, I was warned not to have a circle of third degrees.
Oh.
Well, yes, you shouldn't have a circle of third degrees because ego, ego, ego. Everyone will want to be in control. And now I look back at that not very wise advice, and then think of just how base that was in the sense, or their experience, right? That their experience was just basically a battle of egos, rather than third degrees working together to raise, right? So to raise that vibration and to work together cosmically.
Right. I think that people that say these things are normally, well, it can be various things. Sometimes it's not their fault because their experience is lacking.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's also not their fault because their teaching is lacking. Because the idea of what they have in terms of third degrees is ego, which is a very superficial, mundane, almost Malkuan notion. And my question would be, do they know what the third degree is?
Yeah.
And what they're expected to do. I identified this many times. No one tells anyone what is going to happen after third degree. They always tell them that they're independent, of course. You will tell them that they can now form their own coven, they can stay, they can go, they can do whatever they want. It's up to them. And some people stay in the coven as teachers.
Yeah.
And to actually continue to develop their own skills as a third degree, eventually, and occasionally working with other third degrees. We're not talking about a coven of third degrees. We're and this is why I use the word group, because sometimes, there's covens of third degrees. It's something that maybe doesn't really happen, because they're, the idea of them being the independent and perhaps, but they come together sometimes and they do work together sometimes. So, and that's a good opportunity. Not always, again, if it is done too much, it becomes common. It becomes
that's true.
Ordinary, right? In contrast of extraordinary. So this is really something that people don't really discuss because it's they're now high priesthood. Well, they just met the high priesthood right now after their degree, and they don't really have any experience as it. Then this is why you stay with them for three months at least, guiding them a little bit, and then after that, that's it.
Yeah.
But that's the rule. So there is this period where people need to be guided, and at least in our own teachings, right? So this is what we experience. Gardnerians have a different viewpoint on this because they have the second degree separated from the third.
Yep.
And of course, the second degree for them is that preparation, is that they stay forever in the second degree. Oftentimes.
Yep.
And so and that's what makes it. We don't have that. So we do, although some Alexandrians separated the degrees.
Yes.
That's not what we do.
Yep.
We don't do that. We, meaning in my coven, in our line, but so there are people who do. Again, these things are done because people want to experiment, or they want to see what's going on if they do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very difficult because, things have been proven to be true by Alex and Maxime before us. So why would we commit the same mistakes? Let's see if this, works. Well, I did.
So decades, right?
Let's move on
to prove it. Yeah.
Let's not go back. Let's move on.
Reinvent.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because some people they sometimes accused us of being
Oh yeah, like you're living in the 1970s, or
yeah, so that's right. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And then they separate degrees,
Yeah.
which puts them in the 60s. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
See,
Exactly.
we have
It's
evolved.
regression, right, rather than progression.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Just to say
Close out.
that this is the end of season 1. Can you imagine?
I
13
can't believe it. And I can't believe we made it to the very magical episode 13 to close.
Episode 13. This is the episode 13. 13 episodes, and you know, we will be back on season 2, but we don't know when.
We don't know
because
when.
we don't. It's a surprise. It's always a surprise. So 13 episodes. I mean, what do you think? How was this? This was your first experience as
I shy away from all social media, so this was a definite challenge and journey for me. But I think I really enjoyed it, and it was great to have these episodes with you. It was great to have veiled priestesses, and it was great to have Ruan as priest, right? So and Brian Kane. So it's been absolutely enjoyable, and again, I've learned so much, right? So the work of the third degree is never finished, right? There's always training and there's always learning to be had. What did you think about this?
Well, I thought that it was great. It was really great. I had other co-hosts with me, and you were the worst of them all.
Exactly. I bet. I will take that.
Yeah, and it was awful.
I might be replaced for season 2.
Listen, this is the contrast. You have to say good things, and I have to say, you know, just like the other woman that came in.
Exactly.
I'm just destroying everything that you said.
Yes.
No, it was wonderful because we really do have similar rhythms, and I think that it's a wonderful thing when you find somebody that has that. It's not easy. Not easy to find. And it was wonderful to do the podcast with you. We will return for season 2 of this for Coven's sake. Until then, we wish you all magical things.
Agreed.
And some others that are not that magical, but you know.
Yes, all good things.
To close this episode, we're excited to feature the incredible work of Alexei Kastilin, whose original intro and outro music has set the perfect tone for our podcast since episode 1. The intro and outro have been carefully crafted as shorter versions of this original composition, but now, for the very first time, we're thrilled to share the full version of this exceptional piece with you. Alexei's talent is exceptional as a composer and shines through, adding depth and emotion and a unique atmosphere to our show. You can discover more of his amazing work at Linktree, Alexei Kastilin, and enjoy the full version of this beautiful composition as we sign off. Thank you, Alexei, for your outstanding contribution.